Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Hampton Heights Civic Association semi-annual meeting. We're happy to have you on the line tonight, and thanks for joining us as we invite three distinguished guests to address us on issues related to Girard Avenue, issues related to crime, safety, and then issues related to development of the Kennedy Center campus itself. So that'll be the main topic today. I would like to start with our first guest, Officer Grimsley from Denver Police Department District 3. Officer Grimsley is our community resource officer for our district, one of our CROs. So I'll ask him to introduce himself. And just before I do that, I just want to point out for anybody who just signed on, we do have a link in the chat, which I'll post for people who have signed in since I last posted it. With questions, you can vote up questions or topics. You can write your own question or topic, but we'll use those as we go through our questions. So I'll turn it over now to Officer Grimsley, who will give us an overview of some of the challenges in the neighborhood.
Hi, yep, my name's Matt Grimsley. I'm one of the District 3 CROs. If you don't know, District 3's station is at I-25 in University. You are in the largest police district in Denver. It goes from pretty much the Platte River east to Havana and 6th Avenue to the north to Bellevue. So we are the biggest district. I'll just kind of go over some kind of crime tips and then we'll open it up for questions. Property crimes are our biggest nemesis, crimes of opportunity. So now as the weather's changing, please be wary of leaving your windows down, items in your car, garage doors open. It just takes a second for someone to get in and take it. Auto theft, as you know, is one of our biggest things going on. Recently, we just started a program called Denver Tracks. So it's a program that if you would like to sign up, you can sign up at the denvergov.org police website. And what that does is we're not tracking your vehicle, but if the unfortunate circumstances that your vehicle gets tracked, we will coordinate with you to use the GPS that's in your car. So anything over 2015 and newer, it's already got GPS in it. So if you have like OnStar or something like that, we can use that. If it's anything before that, we would ask that you just get like a Tile or one of the Apple third-party type of devices. So if it's unfortunately taken, you would let the officer know, and then we would try to coordinate to get your vehicle back quicker. Let's see, what are some of the other things? I know people were going to ask about the incident, the shooting at Girard. I can just say I don't have too much to provide on that. It's still being investigated. It's a current investigation. But right now they are working on leads. And from what I know, there's no threat to the community. It was something that was really kind of, people knew each other. But once we get more information, we'll definitely get that out to you guys. So I do have a meeting that's coming up. I did send some flyers. One of the meetings is July 27th. This will be held at DU. And it's a meeting where the chief of police, all of his assistant chiefs and the command staff at District 3 will be there to go over the crimes in District 3 and also their approach to try to solve them. So if you want to come by, please come by. It's a great way for you to meet our command staff and our chief and see the direction that the department's going. Also, every first Wednesday of the month is the District 3 CAB meeting. It's held at District 3 at 6 o'clock, and it's when the commander, Aragon, will go over crime stats and also some of the other events that are going on in District 3. So it's a great way for you to see monthly and hear monthly of what is going on in the district. So, and there's a couple other flyers that are being shared. Bicycle to Work Day is June 28th. We're going to set up a tent at Cherry Creek Drive North and University, where we'll be doing some bike registration. There's a new bike program or app that we're using, teaming up with to register bikes. So in the event they get stolen, we can get them back to you. And then also some tips on how to protect your bike. And the last one is to how to get in touch with the park ranger. If you don't know, Denver Parks and Recs do have park rangers that patrol the parks. So this is a great way for you to get in touch with them. If it's not something that's an immediate law enforcement issue, the park rangers down in your area are great. So if you're seeing camps or anything like that, they're a great resource to use. Any questions on that you might have, or pre-written, or?
Yeah, great. Let me, so feel free if you would like to type a question in the chat, but we do have this Slido, so let me bring it up and see what questions have migrated to the top that are relevant related. So some of these are for Diana, so we'll just keep moving on. A lot of people were referring to this, they heard on the news that we are now considered the second or third most violent part of Denver. So some questions about why we don't have increased patrol despite maybe criminals and gang members. If you could maybe start with that question right here, I'll highlight that one at the top.
I don't know. I haven't heard about how we're the most got the most crime. We do have extra patrols. It's just unfortunately right now our call load is super high, so the officers are running from call to call to call. But the area that was down around Girard and Havana, that is one of our extra patrol spots. So we have our narcotics teams down there, our impact team, which they specialize in going out and doing proactive policing. This is part of their normal rotation. The real big thing with crimes is that we are a stat-driven department. So if there are crimes that are occurring and aren't getting reported, next door is not the appropriate way to report crimes, then we don't know that they happen. So that's how my commander is able to allocate resources and overtime is please make sure that you're reporting the crimes, even if it's very minor. Those stats help us with getting the resources to where we need to get them. I know speeding, we don't have a traffic car anymore in District 3 just due to staffing. We do have a city-wide impact or a traffic team, mostly motorcycles. So please, I'll put my email in the chat. Please email me some locations that I can let them know and they can put it on their list. We do have some speed signs in District 3. So if you do see an area that you think there's a lot of speeding, please email me that. And we can put the sign up. The sign is one of those electronic billboards, and it is a radar. So it does calculate speeds, how many cars are using it, and it breaks it down so that if there is a speeding issue, we know when to be out there to enforce. So we can take advantage of that. Let's see.
Great, thanks. So I did look through the rest of the questions. I think there was only one other one that was somewhat related and I accidentally removed it. So I'll just ask the question aloud, which is noticing more and more abandoned cars along Girard, cars that have been in accidents. Apparently, it's a little unclear what's happening there, but Girard has been just like a junkyard. So
Yep.
I think the question was around what can be done.
Well, 311 has an abandoned vehicle. I know a lot of people reported on there, but that is actually run through the sheriff's department. And the last time I looked, I think they have 1 or 2 deputies that are going out for the abandoned vehicle. If there's someone that is living in the vehicle, you know, we'll go out there and offer them assistance and try to get them resources. But to tow a vehicle, we'll post it as abandoned. And then if we make it back in time, or you make it back in there, we'll tow it. The real big thing is we do have a right of way. They're the ones that help us out on these vehicles that aren't leaving. So please report that to 311. Just because their officers are able to follow up a lot more consistently than the patrol officer, just because they're handling calls, might be on days off, or might not be able to get back down there to check on it. Right of way helps us out a lot with that. I did see it.
Officer, I want to be cognizant of your time.
Yep.
Was somebody else trying to chime in there quick?
I was just going to say I did see a thing in there about Oasis and all that down. We did get that. The ownership did decide to terminate their lease. So that building is vacant now. And so we are working with the leasing office or leasing company if they have any questions on future tenants. So hopefully we'll take care of that. We are working with 7-Eleven to try to help them out and help keep that area from having as many people there. So we are in contact with a lot of the business owners down there. So we are aware of that stuff. So please keep reporting it and we'll get down there to address it.
All right, Officer Grimsley, thank you so much for your time tonight. I know you have to get back to your duties, so we appreciate it. And I think we ended on a nice segue into more of the business development of the area. But any closing comments before you leave?
Nope, I appreciate your time. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you. So before we move on to our Kennedy Center campus redevelopment partners and their proposal, I would just like to introduce and congratulate for the first time officially in public our City Councilwoman elect, Diana Romero Campbell, from our very own neighborhood, also a member of the Hampden Heights Civic Association. Let me turn it over for a quick interlude from Councilwoman Romero Campbell, and then we'll switch to Sidney and the folks from Kennedy Center. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. And good evening. I was finishing up my pizza, so I apologize for going off camera there for a minute. I just wanted to say good evening and thank you for letting me just have a few minutes. I noticed that there were a lot of comments in the chat, and so I can just briefly touch on a few of them and then we can follow up. But I wanted to let you all know that the transition has started. The official swearing in happens in July on the 17th. And so when that transition happens, Councilwoman Black is in office and available until the 14th. And then I will be sworn in on the 17th and be able to hopefully have better and more better details for you on some of your questions. But I did want to let you know that the South by Southeast Festival is going to take place. It's the third Saturday of August, which is August 19th. It will be lots of fun and there's many great things that are going to happen. And if you're interested in volunteering, please contact Councilwoman Black's office now, or you can shoot you can put your name in the chat and we can and contact information so we can follow up with you. But we are always recruiting volunteers.
You never know who we meet while volunteering.
No, always the good time to volunteer.
Diane and I met while we were volunteering at South by Southeast.
Yeah, we worked on actually I think we were doing trash and recycling, which will be there again this year. I did want to just quickly address some of the economic development, and there were a few questions related. The Kennedy neighborhood, which is just around Hampden, gosh, whether it be east of Hampden Heights, I'm just losing my street, for the golf course, and then up,
Dartmouth.
yeah. Dartmouth. I was going to say Dartmouth.
Yeah.
Up Dartmouth. That is the Kennedy, all the way up to Parker Road, is called the Kennedy neighborhood. That neighborhood has recently been designated a nest neighborhood, and that is they've designated, because of a variety of indicators, that area to be a nest neighborhood, which is Neighborhood Equity Stabilization Team, or that's the name of the team. It sits in the Denver Economic Development and Opportunity Office. I am learning more about that right now, and meeting with the people who are heading up that office at this time to figure out more of what does it mean to be a nest neighborhood. Very quick points would be, they've been identified for needing additional help and stabilization in the neighborhood, which I think relates to a lot of the businesses that have been closed. And so it's an opportunity, I think, for us to bring additional resources and support down to Southeast Denver, with a very intentional focus, not only on the Kennedy neighborhood, but everything that surrounds it. So I'm looking forward to that. The sidewalks is still in committee. I know that they haven't made a final determination, but I agree that formula that they are working on does need to be fixed. I don't have a lot of information about the cleaning of parkways, but I will find out. The community center and a place for people to gather and have that space really needs to be generated, and we can work on this as well, but really needs to be a community generated effort. So I'm all on board. So if there are those who would like to work on really bringing people together for that effort, I get sworn in on the 17th, and we can definitely start meeting about that right away. And yes, Mark.
Oh, that was me volunteering.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I definitely think that that's something I'm very interested in. I know that within the city, it really helps to have a lot of community engagement and have effort from those who are in the community, who, myself included, but who are really saying, hey, this is what we need. And I think it's a great opportunity, especially with a nest neighborhood, might also be a way for us to think about strategies moving forward. That's the long game. And then I will stop there.
Yeah, could I interject quickly about the rec center, and is there any chance that the Kennedy Golf Course renovations would potentially be a home to a rec center or not?
That's a good question. I don't know what the answer is to that, but I think it's us coming together. I don't know if the funding for that would have to come through a bond, or if the funding, that's part of it, is figuring out where the funding comes from. And or if there would have to be additional dollars that would need to be raised in order to do that. So, but I'm all for it and more than willing to work on it.
Great, wonderful. Thank you so much, and I'm sure you'll be speaking some more. I know you're here as much as any of us to listen and just kind of learn what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
So our associates from Residential Ventures, I hope you're looking at some of those questions. Some of the questions that Diana was addressing also maybe relate to your plans. So I think there's a lot of overlap there. And if you could just introduce yourselves for us, and if you want to share anything from the screen, from the PDF, please feel free. Thank you.
Okay. Mark, can you hear me? Okay, yes. Perfect. Well, thank you for your time. Thanks for inviting us to participate in tonight's meeting. It's great to see you, Diana. And again, congratulations on that. My name is Sidney Aulds. I'm the Director of Development for Residential Ventures. And right next to me is Tim Larson. He's the owner of our company and the owner of the Kennedy Center. Just a quick update on where we are. Today, actually, we just received the final signature pages for the large development framework. So we have spent the last year and a few months going through working with the city on the large development review. We have now gotten through that, and in the next few weeks, we are hoping to have the zoning application submitted to the city. So what we are submitting for is going to be suburban mixed use, 5 stories. It is in alignment with Blueprint Denver. It's exactly what the city recommends. So we're not asking for anything that the city hasn't already identified as a target zone district for Kennedy Center. So something else to note, we have 4 of the 5 parcels at Kennedy Center. There is Lifegate Church. So everything that we're doing is we're working with Lifegate on as well. So they have their land, and then we have the rest of the land at Kennedy Center. So you'll see I'll show the sketch here in a second, but you'll see that we're leaving their site as is. And so we're trying to improve the whole site that integrates the church property there as well. And so I guess, Mark, if you can give me just 1 second, I'll pull up this. I do apologize. I thought you were going to have this, but I can navigate.
I can bring it up.
I can navigate to it very quickly.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. I can also bring it up, but and someone from your team lives in our neighborhood. Is that correct?
That is correct. One of the co-founders of our company lives in Hampden Heights. That is correct.
Great.
All right, Mark, I should have permission to share my screen, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Try the green button.
Okay, I'm sorry. We use Google, so.
Yeah. Press the green button.
There we go. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, great. And now. Yeah.
All right, how about now? Can you guys see the screen?
Yep, we're in full screen, more or less. Yeah, that's good.
Okay, perfect. All right, so here's a quick overview of the 5 parcels I just mentioned. We still have parcel A, B, C, and E. Lifegate Church is here on the southwest corner in parcel D. So I'll kind of quickly go through what we're thinking about here. So what we're trying to accomplish with this is we're trying to update our zoning to the current Denver zoning code. We're also looking to replace some of the declining office product with mixed use multifamily housing. We're looking to create a campus focus on improving the neighborhood through intentional design and programming intended for the human experience. So you'll see in the sketch, there's a lot of outdoor space. The way the lot is aligned there, it offers a lot of opportunities for outdoor space as well. And the estimated project time, so just so nobody thinks that this is going to happen overnight, this is a long-term project. 2026 would probably be the earliest that you would see work happening. But just as I mentioned, it's taken us 16 months to get to where we can rezone the property, and we've been working diligently. So it's going to take a few years for permitting and design and engineering. So it is a long-term project that will not pop up overnight. But here's what we're working on is leaving Lifegate Church as is. We're going to retain one of the 3 existing office buildings. And then we're going to take the rest of parcel 3 here on the northeast corner. And what we want to do is we want to connect all the rights of way with walkable outdoor space, paths. Just an engineering requirement that we're going to be faced with is a detention pond. So we'll have a place to store rainwater and storm runoff. And so we want to make that at least attractive, kind of like the first image you saw a minute ago. So we really want to make this place a thoroughfare for people to come in and through the site as they're navigating the neighborhood. And then there you go, locate detention pond along the pedestrian path to integrate as a site feature. And then here's the sketch that we've presented to the city thus far. And so what you see here is this outline. It appears white. That would be the building. And then all of the green is all of this outdoor space. So what you'll get is a mixed use. So it's going to be a mixed use building. There will be a space for a retail component on the ground floor. Our current thoughts are likely like a coffee shop or a food and beverage, where it's our understanding the neighborhood is really after what they really would like to see. You guys want a place that you can bite, that you can walk to, that you can meet the neighbors down, whether it's coffee or dinner, what have it. And then another thing that we're going to offer is a variety of unit types. So everything from studios to 2 beds, there might be some 3 beds, as well as a variety of rent prices. So we're trying to meet the needs of the neighborhood and provide a variety of product type, variety of pricing types as well. Some of the other things that are going to come with the redevelopment of this is you'll see improved right of way. So sidewalks. We know that we're working with the city right now to figure out what it looks like to improve the bus stops on Girard, not the ones that are on Hampden at the intersection, but there are 2 bus stops at Girard that we're working with the city on. And so a lot of the infrastructure around the transportation is it touches the site will be improved. And then we're looking at, just implementing features like maybe there's an outdoor community garden for the apartments. You'll have an increased sidewalk. The sidewalk that wraps the outside of the property is currently pretty wide, but you'll see it'll integrate bike paths and pedestrian paths. And we really want to facilitate transportation through the neighborhood. So the community benefits here, we're building a community center, connecting multifamily office, retail, and assembly uses onto one site with a centralized walkable plaza. We're trying to add as much landscape open space as possible. There's a community garden aspect, additional for rent housing product with a varied product mix. I've kind of touched on most of this already. Adding food and beverage tenant to the neighborhood, and opportunity to bring new users to the existing office building like healthcare, community services, and nonprofits. So that's really the bulk of what our presentation is. And we just wanted to take the opportunity to share what we're working on, share where we're at in the process, and then really get any feedback. I mean, we haven't really started the architectural work on this. And so we're happy to take any feedback as we work through the project.
Great. I think we'll have a lot of questions. Thank you. I'll start by, you had once mentioned the possibility of maybe having a police station subunit on the facility, on the property. Is that something that's still an option?
Yeah, as everyone is, we're also, we've experienced crime and auto theft. Me and Tim both personally have in the parking lot. And so we've met with 3 police officers And we've also offered the police department a remote office in the office building. So they haven't taken us up on it yet, but the offer still stands.
So I think maybe Diana, if that's something we can pursue and maybe even incorporate into the design of this new structure. Just I think one of the huge challenges we have is that the police station is at University and I-25. It's a 10-minute drive if there's no traffic, which is unusual.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think that would be something maybe we can emphasize.
If we could get them
yeah.
in the existing building, and we could get a police substation in the existing office buildings, and we could potentially plan one if they wanted to stay there into the new development when we develop it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, great. Okay, let's. I'm going to turn to the Slido, and so here's a question about the community center and the amenities. Someone anonymously here is saying they would love something like a rec center or a climbing gym to help attract.
Yeah. Anything's on the table. We're open.
Yeah, and those are all allowable uses under the zoning that we've requested, right? I mean, so we haven't done a lot of design work on the site specifically because we can't spend lots of money designing stuff until we have zoning. You know, we can't really design a project without having the zoning, because whatever we design has to adapt to that zoning.
So interestingly, someone is commenting that apparently there are folks, most of the people are actually living in cars on potentially. So
it's interesting to see this comment because we just had this conversation this afternoon. Actually, we see it. We see it every day. We're experiencing some of the homeless issues as well. We get them in the buildings. They're in the cars. They've gotten into our cars as well. So we're I promise we're open to helping in any way we can. We brought, it may have been Officer Grimsley. I know I've spoken to Officer Grimsley, but we brought one of the police officers to the office and we offered them open vacant space right now so they can move in whenever they're ready. Our property managers.
Diana, can I put you on the spot? And
Sure.
there was a law change where it required 24-hour notice, I believe, to tow a vehicle in Denver. Do you know anything about that policy and if there's any possibilities of getting certain exceptions?
Yeah, there is actually a specific ordinance. Let me get that for you because I don't want to be misquoted. And that you can send out to folks who are on this call.
I think one of the
For
challenges,
sure, but yeah, it just recently changed.
one of the unintended consequences of that is, I think, is a lot of people are able to get away with just leaving stolen cars, leaving, yeah.
Length of
We have
trailers, yeah.
Well, we have problems with drug deals in the parking lot, and we've tried to have cars towed, and we can't.
Yeah,
On our own private property, we weren't allowed to tow cars without 24 notice. So we have stolen cars parked there, no plates, no VIN numbers. They're full of drugs. We can't tow them. You know, the minute we put a 24-hour, we put a notice to tow it on 24-hour notice, and they come up and pick the car up before, So they know how to get around the law. The intentions of the law, I'm sure, at the time, they didn't foresee these kind of circumstances, but this is what happens sometimes,
Yep. Some more questions about the housing itself. And I was wondering, is it only rental? Is it, are there some options for purchasing? But I covered some of this already, but if you want to review that.
Yeah, it'll be for rent housing, and there is likely going to be affordable housing units in the property.
I mean, I think all new housing properties inside the city of Denver now going forward, have to have 10% affordable housing, no matter where you build it. That's a new law.
And what is the affordability criteria? At what percent?
There's
AMI?
various requirements, and we haven't gotten into the details of the new ordinance, but I believe that there's a certain requirement for 60% AMI. I believe there's some requirements for 80% AMI.
Right.
So there's a couple of thresholds that will be required to meet.
Yeah, for not just our project, all projects in the city limits of Denver, period.
All right. Our next question, will there be a time for community input once the zoning is approved?
Yeah, I don't see why not. I would be happy to join this another one of your meetings like right now.
Great.
And we can, as we develop our ideas, we're happy to share them with the community and get some feedback.
And then question about parking, and I think you have a structure for that, but if you want to address.
Yeah, so our current sketch, I'm going to call it a sketch because it's very conceptual. Again, to Tim's point, we haven't spent a lot of money on and resources on design until we have our zoning. But the idea is that we would have a structured parking garage, and it would be wrapped with apartments so that it's not an eyesore, that you would see the housing units, and then it would be an internal parking structure.
And typically we would park that one per bedroom. I mean, so if you have a 1-bedroom, you have 1 parking place. You know, if you have a 2-bedroom, you have 2 parking places, a 3-bedroom. So we basically count the bedrooms, and that's how we do the residential parking. And then depending on how much retail we put in, we'd add additional parking depending how much retail or other uses you have in a mixed use project. But that's the rough formula there.
Thank you. So I think that addresses parking. A couple folks have said, how are these apartments going to be any different from the other ones, and not continue to contribute to some of the challenges?
Yeah, so I think really what your best advantage here is eyes on the street, right? We know people in the neighborhood contribute to safety, and so if you've got more people living in and circulating the property, you're going to have a safer neighborhood. Right now, we have large parking lots with office buildings that are vacant at night, and it just lends itself to parked cars and drug deals, like we just mentioned that we've had issues with. And so we're hoping that by creating a newer place with more eyes on the street, you're going to have more traffic, people there, right? You'll have just improved safety I mean, that's kind of what we see on all the projects.
And I think also maybe it would be a slightly different clientele demographic, probably higher income, as opposed to.
Yeah, I mean, like everything in Denver is higher income because it costs a lot of money to build stuff, and so you can't really build anything new for lower income. They're going to mandate some level of moderately affordable housing, right, in the overall mix, but those rents basically get driven up for the other 90%. It's a redistribution. You know, you redistribute. You know, because the money, you have to have X amount of money to make the project work, right? And so if you lower the rent on 10%, you got to raise the rent on the other 90%. That's just the way the math works. You know, on these, for not just us, for everybody in Denver, right? You know.
So I think most of the remaining questions are ones that maybe Diana has started to address. Does anybody have any specific questions for our guests from the Kennedy Center campus that would like to have any final comments or questions? All right, could I turn it back to Diana? Why don't you want to?
I was just going to say, I just had a question. Are any of these, will these all be rentals, or will any of them be for ownership?
All for rent.
All for rent. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, under the zoning, you could build, you know, if we sold the property to somebody else, they could build for sale product, but we only build rental stuff. So if we develop it, we'll build for rent product.
And another question about, and I know you're still doing the design, retail space for nonprofits, like what is the square footage that you're looking at for that area? Is it small, large?
So right now, I think, are you asking that based on the slide that I showed a minute ago? Okay, perfect. Yeah, so we have our plan that we showed retaining one of the existing buildings, kind of our step 2 slide there. I believe that it's a 4-story building. The plates are 7,000 square feet. 11. Yeah. So we've 40 to 44,000 square feet of office space. And, you know, office is in pretty significant decline right now. So we're seeing a decline. And so by the time this project happens, who knows where we'll be from a work from home standpoint, and what the usage of office space is actually like. And so we'll probably have enough room for some more tenants.
Yes. Well, I mean, the answer to the question is we don't know exactly where the market will be in 26, and how it's looking is we will probably consolidate our existing tenants into the building A, right? And we'll probably demo the other 2 buildings. If the office market's really bad, we potentially would take all three of those buildings to the ground and do a bigger project or a different project, right? You know, but we can't see the world, I mean, out that far quite yet. And we're still making adjustments. It's really vital we get the zoning so we have flexibility to adapt the project to what's viable and what works and what will work in the market in that period of time, right? And without the zoning, we're gonna have empty buildings with no zoning. You can't do anything with them. The current zoning that we have was put on the property 40 or 50 years ago, and so they don't really even know how to use the zoning, the city.
And I think this is another important thing to emphasize is based on our previous conversations, it's not likely that anybody's going to be taking over any of these commercial leases in 2026 on the corner of Hampden and Havana. So we could be left with just vacant, empty.
Yeah.
lots.
So yeah, it's vital for the neighborhood and for us economically to get the proper zoning so that we can build a really nice project.
Well, wonderful. Thank you so much to Tim and to Sidney for joining us today.
Thanks for hosting. You did a great job, by the way.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. We're eager to be engaged with you on this. Thanks to all of our members who have joined. Diana, if you want to have any closing words, you're welcome to. Otherwise, I'll just say a few things. But if you wanted to say something, okay. Well, just thank you everybody for joining. I think we all have noticed that there have been some challenges around Girard Avenue, particularly with these abandoned cars, many of them damaged. The road itself is in disarray. There's been shootings, violence, just a lot going on there. And I know a lot of us are concerned about that. I know somebody on the line tonight actually moved from one part of Hampton Heights to another just to get a little bit further away from gunfire and fireworks. So it's something that's impacting our quality of life. And it's something we all care about, and we would all love to see a revitalized area on Girard where we don't have to cross an 8-lane highway to get a drink. So it's really exciting to see kind of the two sides of this coming together, which is this sort of intractable challenge related to everyday life and coexisting with people who are hard on their luck. And this amazing kind of opportunity to really transform the entire half of Girard, between Girard and Hampton to Havana. So just really glad that we're having this conversation, and I hope we can have more of these and that we can all come together and create something that will really help generate some of the development that we've been seeking out here. So thanks for taking that first step by joining us tonight, and we'll be in touch, and we'll share a recording with this with all of our other members so they can watch as well. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night, and go to the Nuggets parade on Thursday. Go Nuggets.
Thank you, Mark.
Yes,
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Diana.
Thank you for the presentation.
We're working with
Great
you
work.
and to have you in the neighborhood.
All right. Have a great night,
Thank you.
guys.
Good night,
You too.
everybody.
Good night.